There's some questions that seem very harsh. There are some questions that need to be asked. There's some questions that are very harsh but need to be asked. Especially in football. And no, this is not another video about Wenger. Far from it. This is a video about Moyes. This is a video about David Moyes. And the question that I think is harsh but needs to be asked is David Moyes crap? Is David Moyes a shit manager? And I've been thinking this in a roundabout way for a few days, and the original question that came to mind was, did Everton make David Moyes look like a good manager because there was no expectation on him? But if you look at the wider picture, the question must be asked, is David Moyes a crap manager? By my countings, he's been at 5 clubs as manager. He was at Preston, then he went on to Everton, then to Manchester United, then to Real Sociedad, and now he's at Sunderland. And he's had a degree of varying success, most of it bad, but there has been some variation of success in his career. However, despite that varying success, is he still a bad manager? And like I said, I feel like it's a harsh question to ask, but it needs to be asked. So, David Moyes made a name for himself at Preston North End. I remember maybe 1 or 2, 3 months before, he became Everton manager. People were talking about Moyes being the next big thing, the next young, talented manager. This was in the period of David O'Leary at Leeds, when Leeds were flying high, spending money and doing well. And the name David Moyes kept on popping up. Young, talented Scottish manager. Really good, really good, really good. Then, after Everton sacked Walter Smith because of poor results, I think they were just about to get relegated. They sacked Walter Smith, bring out in David Moyes, and he saved them. He was there for 10 years as manager, and he brought in some not bad players, but thinking back those last 10 years, I think we saw Moyes as a successful manager because there was no expectation at Everton. He could get top 7, top 10, and it'd be Everton's had a good season. He could draw most games as long as he was in mid-table. Everton had a good season. And it also helped that sometimes they finished above Liverpool in those 10 years. And this can be rolled out to a few more managers, actually. You look at Mark Hughes at Stoke, Tony Pulis at West Brom, and when he was manager of West Brom, Roy Hodgson. They looked they look like good managers because nobody expects anything from that club. As long as you get mid-table, or as long as you get into Europe, you're doing a really good job. And Mark Hughes has got clubs into Europe. Tony Pulis has done not bad. I think he got Stoke up and kept them up. Then they didn't renew his contract. But I don't think that there's much pressure on these guys because no one expects anything of them. Oh, you're West Brom and you're not expected much. Oh, you're Stoke, you're not expected to do much. So, going back to Moyes, he spends 10 years bobbing around, getting top 10. I think he got above Liverpool a couple of times in the table during that really bad period of Hodgson and Dalglish. Then, 4 years ago, Ferguson announces he retires, and Fergie picks Moyes as his successor. He becomes the chosen one. Right. You can look at this in 2 ways. Ferguson picked the wrong person and picked a crap manager, or Man U was too big a club for Moyes himself. And I think the two of them actually combine, because I think the expectation for Man U, for a manager who basically comes mid-table every season, it was too much of a pressure. But he takes on the Man U job because biggest job in football at the time. You take over Fergie, you should be getting success. He embarrassingly goes around Europe trying to sign everyone, and he makes it so public it was unbearable. In the end, he signs Mario Fellaini, who Man U fans don't even like anyway, and gets sacked just before the end of the season. Right. And those, I think it's 7 or 8 months he's in charge of Arsenal, of Man U. He's oh God, itchy nose. He has a terrible time. He loses. They end up 7th at the end of the season, which is a big drop of 6 places from first, and finishing something like 12 points ahead of second. So they sack him, and he goes to Real Sociedad. I don't think he lasts like half a season. I don't know how long he was at Real Sociedad for, but it wasn't long. And at this point, I was thinking, he'd be good at a Newcastle, he'd be good at a Sunderland, Crystal Palace, a smaller club, not much expectation. Big Sam gets the England job, and David Moyes is hired as the Sunderland manager. Now, this is where the question comes in. Is Moyes rubbish? Big Sam just kept Sunderland up last season. I was pretty certain that Sunderland were going to go down. However, I expected them to finish 18th. Possibly survive. They're currently languishing in 20th and 9 points away from safety, with 4 games left. I can imagine the Sunderland board went, David, we expect to get relegated, just make the transition as less painful as possible. However, that's not happened. This season's been an embarrassment in my opinion for Sunderland. Yes, I was expecting to get relegated, but I didn't expect him to finish 20th. Not when Hull's come up this season, when Middlesbrough has come up. Middlesbrough's actually sitting above them in the table, which I'm quite surprised at. So Moyes has fucked up somewhere. So, back to the original question. With all this 5 in mind, is Moyes a bad manager? You never want to turn around and say, yeah, he's shit. But I think there's something wrong. I think there's something wrong with Moyes in the last 3 or 4 years. He seems to have done well at Everton, but I don't think there was any expectation on him. When it comes to having expectation on him, he's not succeeding. So maybe it's something mental. Maybe he doesn't have the mental strength to succeed in a way. He didn't have the mental strength to overcome adversity, so to speak. So it could be, the question is David Moyes mentally strong enough? And if we rephrase it to that question, I think the answer is no, he's not. I think if he had somewhere where expectation isn't placed on him, he's a good manager. When you're expected to do something, he's not. So, after this little ramble, the question should be, is David Moyes a good manager? He's not bad when he's not got anything expected of him. But when there's the pressure on him, I think he crumbles. And that's it. I'll see you next time. Peace.